Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Content Creators Experiment. In this channel, I like to put YouTube gear and YouTube gurus to the test. So for today's video, let's talk about how to put comply phone tips on your Apple Airpods Pro. And this is a big thanks to Brian, one of my viewers. On my previous Apple Airpods Pro video, he had commented that I forgot to show you guys how to install the actual comply tips that came with my Jaybird X3s. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, let's go ahead and take a look at the silicone tips that came with your Apple Airpods Pro. Now these were made to fit the Airpods Pro perfectly. So just like, if you had other silicone tips from, let's say, the Jaybird X3s, they were made for the Jaybird X3s. And so it's important to know that when you're using third-party accessories, that they're not going to be like the most perfect fit, but it's rather more of like the best fit that you can get. And as far as whether these will fit for your ears, everyone's ears are different, so keep that in mind, that when you purchase a pack, it comes with 3 stems and also 6 different foam tips. Now the foam tips come in 3 different sizes. We have small, medium, and large. And of course, it's not going to be a one size fit all, but it's just a one size fit most. These are the stems that come with your purchase when you buy the ear foam tips from a third-party seller on eBay. Now, if you look at the back, it is actually perfectly made to match your Apple AirPods Pro. So let's go ahead and see how to install them onto your AirPods Pro. All you gotta do is you gotta match the ridge, and then once you put them onto the AirPods Pro, you gotta make sure that you click them in on one side, and you should hear a nice little click. And then after that, on the opposite end, usually I like to go diagonally to like the right, for example, and then just kind of give it a nice little press, and there'll be another click. And it's pretty snug on there, but of course, if you use enough force, it's gonna come off. Whenever you have these in your ear, just be sure to not pull them out of your ear so fast that there's enough force to take them out, because obviously everyone has different strength, but just be a little more careful when you're using third-party accessories, because although they're made to fit the AirPods Pros, they weren't designed by Apple specifically. So what I like to do is I like to take the stem by itself first. And these are the comply foam from my Jaybird X3s. So they were made for the X3s. So the comply foam tips that you might have might look a little different. The size of the hole or the circle might be a little bigger, a little smaller, but generally speaking, they should all work. It's just you need a lot of patience in putting them onto the third-party stems. So what you want to do is you want to take the comply foam tip and sort of put the stem in at an angle, and then you have to kind of stretch it out around like the entire circle. It might take you a good 5 to 10 minutes instead of what you see here, because these have already been fitted onto the stems once, so it's going to kind of remember that shape, if you will. And so as you can see from my other AirPod, these fit really perfectly. But before you put the stem with the comply foam tip on there right onto the AirPod, what I like to do is I like to roll it around a little bit, because it softens up the foam. And I kind of want to say that it also softens up the stem just a little bit, so that you get a nice feel of it in your hand before you try to clip it back onto the AirPod Pro. Once you have the stem with the foam tip on there, it's going to be a little hard to feel that ridge and where it connects with the AirPod Pro. And because the foam also softens the click sound, you don't really hear it. So it's really important for you to test this a couple of times. Really give it a nice little tug on the headphones before you let it go, or just think that, oh, it's perfectly installed. Again, I really must warn you that it takes a lot of patience to install these, but it's worth it. Once you have the comply foam tips installed onto the stems and then onto your AirPod Pros, just make sure that you give it a nice little tug or a few times to make sure that it's nice and secure on there. one of my favorite things about these third-party stems is that they have a little ridge that really hangs on to the foam tips. And so the foam tips are always on there nice and secure, and they won't come off very easily. So once you have them on there, they stay on there. And if you need to remove it, it could be a little bit of a tricky process, but it's done with patience. So that's it for the Comply foam tips installation. Thanks for watching this video. Now I'm actually going to continue on just a little bit just to show you if you wanted to install the third-party foam tips, how would you do it? And I'm actually using the small size because it is one of the hardest sizes that I have ever tried to put on the stems. So the same concept applies when you're trying to use the small size foam tips with these stems. You have to try to put the stems in at an angle. And then, yeah, because it's pretty hard to fit on there, what you can do is you could take the foam tips, put it into the palm of your hand, and just roll it around a bit, make it nice and squishy, kind of press it down so that you can almost shape it into the oval shape that you want it to be before you put them onto the stems again. It takes a lot of patience, and you can see that I use my nails a little bit, and that's something that you should definitely not do because it will probably tear the foam. Now I did reach out to the seller and I let him know about this problem, and what he responded to me was that he's working on improvement of getting even better foam, memory foam and things like that in the future. So I will be definitely making another video reviewing, when his newest foam tips come out. But for the time being, I think that these are really, really awesome as long as you have the patience to work through them. And because I am using the small size here, so it's a lot harder to use. I think that generally for most people, the medium size works well. And if that's what you're going for, it's a lot easier. And then if you use the large ones, oh man, even easier. Which I do showcase in my previous Apple Airpods Pro foam tips video. If you'd like to see that, there's going to be a link in the card above. So once you have the small foam tips installed onto the stem, you just kind of want to move in like a circular motion and press them down bit by bit to make sure that you get a really good secure fit on there, because the last thing you want is, your foam tips to fall off. Now, once they're on there, they stay on there really good. It's just, again, it takes patience to get them on there. And now let's go ahead and just see how they fit onto the Apple Airpods Pro. And same thing, you gotta feel for the ridges, press them in. You might not be able to hear the 2 clicks, but you can sort of kind of feel it. And once they're on there, make sure you give it again a nice little tug, right? Just to make sure that it doesn't come off very easily. And then after that, you're done. So hey, I really want to thank you for watching this video. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to let me know in the comments below, or you can reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter. I would be happy to respond to any questions that you may have to the best of my abilities. And hey, if you want to check out my previous Apple AirPods Pro video, I'm just going to go ahead and link it right here. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, I'd be super grateful. This channel is all about making content for creators, and Apple AirPods Pro sometimes are a perfect tool for creators on the go. And so yeah, I will see you in the next video. Thanks guys.